Welcome, everyone. Clever Adventures podcast has joined forces with the World of Ability podcast network, opening you up to the world of travel. We'll be back here again next week, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain, or 1:30 p.m. Mountain, 2:30 Central. And so, Lori, can you tell us more about our all new Clever Adventures podcast and introduce our guest today?
So, hi, I'm Lori. I am the owner and travel agent at Clever Adventures, and I am your host for the podcast. We have our wonderful guest, Jackie Phillips, here. She is a highly sought after speaker, athlete, wellness expert, and best-selling international author. And of 7 books. So I am so excited to have you here, Jackie. So we get to talk about health and wellness and travel.
Wow, what a combination. Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Lori.
Absolutely. So besides all of the other things that I just said, what is it that makes you you?
Well, I always tell the story that my life changed radically one winter day over 40 years ago. I was on a ski vacation with my husband in Austria. Now, before you get all excited and go, Austria, woo, that's a big deal. It really wasn't. He was stationed in Germany. We got in the car, drove across the border, and there we were in Austria. The first day was uneventful. The second day, my ski tips crossed one over the other, causing me to do a face plant. Now, mind you, this was over 40 years ago. And as I did that face plant hitting the snow, which normally wouldn't be an issue, the bindings on my skis did not release. So I can still hear in my head as my lower leg just shattered. Next thing I knew, I was waking up in a recovery room with a cast that went all the way from my toes up and a pin that went all through my ankle and protruded out on either side. I was in a series of casts for over 6 months, never being able to put any weight on that leg and never getting to have the pin taken out of my leg. So finally the big day comes and they take the cast off and I'm so excited. They helped me to my feet because I can't stand very well because I'd been off my feet for all that time. And when I got up, my heel missed hitting the floor by this much. He was in the Air Force. We had an Army doctor, and the Army doctor looked at me and he said, well, Mrs. Phillips, I'm sorry to tell you, you're always going to have a limp and you'll never run again. Well, I wasn't a runner, but on that day, I decided I would become a runner. And running changed my life because in my 50s, I decided I want to run a marathon. I just ran here and there, mostly to prove that darn Army doctor wrong. But my 50s, I decided I wanted to run a marathon. I was running a swim school at the time. I owned one in Moreno Valley, California. And I got so into wellness, trying to get prepared for that marathon, that I decided that I wanted to switch and go into wellness full time. So that's why I always say a broken leg changed my life. So that's how I got from where I was to where I am now, which as an optimal health coach.
That's amazing. So you just said you're an optimal health coach. So what does that entail? Can you explain maybe what that is?
Sure. Well, 90% of Americans don't eat enough fruits and vegetables to have optimal health. And I don't know about you, I don't want just health. I want optimal health. You know, we have a lifespan and we have a health span. Lifespan is how long we're going to be on this earth before the Lord takes us home. But our health span is how many years we can live comfortably without disease. So we all want to have a health span. We want to have optimal health. And that's what I help people to do through coaching. We have different programs that people can take. And then we're all so busy. It's very difficult for us to eat as well as we should. Even I don't eat the 5 to 10 fruits and vegetables that I should be eating every day. So what do I do to make up for that? I supplement. And that's what I help people to figure out. I help them to figure out what do they need to do to get the nutrients in their body that they're not consuming by eating food. Now, eating food, real food, not processed junk, is the best way to fuel your body. But we're all busy, time, convenience, having to take the kids here and there, all those things that we do as busy people erodes our time. So we have to really be on top of making sure that we eat what we should. And we're just not, we can't always get there.
Absolutely. I don't. My kids, if I had all the fruits and vegetables, my kids would eat it. It'd be gone. And then I swear they're like, they eat it all in 2 seconds and then they take it or it sits there and goes bad. I'm like, I feel like it's a higher low. But yeah, that's very absolutely true. I
Yeah, it's the
definitely.
same with my grandson. What he doesn't like yesterday, he wants today, but he doesn't eat it all because he's 12. And it's like, it's really frustrating. So I get that because we spend a lot of time with our 12-year-old grandson. And he's not just a picky eater. I don't even know what's beyond picky.
Oh man,
But
selective.
he like your children, has some learning disabilities, and those learning disabilities, like your children, cause him to have some very different food preferences and not like the same thing 2 days in a row. So I know you get that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So on your products, is it kind of like a one size fits all, or do you like, I'm assuming with coaching, you would like customize it, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And we make sure that people are getting what they need. I work with a company called Nutrilite. Nutrilite's been around for almost 90 years, using the best of science and the best of nature. So the products are all sourced from organic farms, and you're putting something that's really good for your body into your body. They're not the least expensive, unfortunately, but what you eat, you need to eat with quality. And the same thing with foods, with supplements. You want high quality supplements because low quality supplements are not necessarily bad for your body, but they're not good for your body. So I want something that does my body good rather than something that's not bad.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you guys have like do the supplements have like any like certifications or like third party testing or anything like that? Has that ever happened?
Yes, thank you. Yes. Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, they are totally tested in the labs that Nutrilite has, and they're certified and verified by the NSF, which is a very high standard of qualification. I've actually toured the plant when it was here in California, and it was pretty amazing.
Oh,
They
wow.
even had electronic bug zappers to get rid of any bugs that might come in because they didn't want to have any kind of a pesticide in there. And with all the raw materials, you can imagine that'd be like a feast for bugs.
Oh,
So that
yeah.
kind of blew me away when I toured the facility, that they had ways to take care of pests without harming the food.
Well, that's amazing. Absolutely. So do you have like, does it talk about like allergies? Because I know my family has allergies, and so we do that, or like sugar free, or how does that work?
Yeah, all those things. That information's all on the website, all the product details about each product, and you can search on the ingredients, you can search on everything that you want. And they're also very receptive by phone call. If you can't find it on the internet, you just dial the number. Nutrilite is a subsidiary of Amway. Amway's been around for, I don't know, since 1959, I think. And they're very receptive, and they want to make sure that people are getting exactly what they want. They're so tied into that all products come with 160 to 180 day money back guarantee. You don't think the product works, you're disappointed for any reason, they refund everything, including the shipping. So that just shows you their belief in the product. And personally, I've taken Nutrilite since 1992.
Wow. I love that. I love that guarantee because then that shows that they truly do stand behind the products. So, okay, so let's talk a little travel. Um,
Okay.
what had like either where are the places that you've been? Like obviously you said your husband was in the military, or what was your favorite trip to go on?
Well, I want to do that in a minute, but before I get
Yeah, go
there,
for
I
it.
want to know your volume is kind of increasing and decreasing. I don't
Hmm.
know what's going on with that, but sometimes you're real soft, and then other times you're like easy to hear. So there's some sort of a fluctuation in there.
I
If you
wonder
can
if it's
make,
how close I am. Is this better?
yeah, that's much better.
Okay.
That might be it. So I guess you're going to have to be up close and
Up
personal,
close
huh?
and personal. Yep, absolutely.
Well, we've been very fortunate. As I said, I happened to marry right out of college a guy who wanted to fly airplanes for the Air Force, and he did that for 20 years. We were fortunate enough twice to be stationed overseas. Our first, when we were very, very young, we were stationed in northern Japan. And then the second time, we were stationed in Germany. So we really got a yen to travel. Uh, Pardon my use of the word yen. Anyway, we really wanted to travel, and at first we we didn't because we were pursuing different things with our careers, and it just wasn't happening. But then we got sent to Germany, and we spent every spare moment that we had traveling Europe. We had a Volkswagen camper, and we just went all over. Our daughter was born there, and we took her everywhere with us. Her baby book reads like a travel log. Her first trip was a trip from where we were in Germany to Rome on a train, and she was 6 months old. So we did travel with children. The funny story about she, because she's adopted, she had to be on formula, and it was very difficult in that time in Rome to find any water that wasn't carbonated.
Oh my gosh.
So trying to mix formula with carbonated water, you can imagine what that would do to a baby.
Oh my goodness. They already get gas bubbles and then add carbonation. Good grief.
Yeah. And I remember we got to the hotel in Germany or in Rome, and they had a crib for us, which was what we asked for. And the mattress was made of straw. And we just looked at each other and went, well, baby Jesus slept on straw. I guess it's okay for our kid. But you have to be flexible when you travel with kids. And we've always traveled with ours. Right after we left Europe, we put together a travel fund.
Oh, that's
And every
amazing.
spare dime that we had, somebody gave us a birthday present or this check or that check, instead of just putting it into a checking account, we actually opened up a separate account, and that's called our travel account. And to this day, each month we fund that with a donation from us to that, so that we always have money in our travel fund. So let's see, you asked about a favorite trip, and it's like, oh my goodness, we literally we've not been to Africa, but every place else we've been. And
Wow.
we just, Africa's not on our bucket list. If it were, we would have gone. And we love Europe. The 4 years that we spent in Germany, we just fell in love with Europe. We enjoyed Asia when we were there, but we understand the European culture better than we understand, because we are followers of Christ, and because of that, the European culture with its churches and all that just is more understandable to us than an Asian culture that does not worship the God that we worship. So
Mhm.
anyway, we 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 just really wanted to travel Europe, and our last trip we covered the places that we hadn't been before, and that was Istanbul, Montenegro, Croatia, and then we also went back to, that was a cruise, and we also went back to several places in Greece and ended up in Venice. Then my husband really wanted to go to Normandy.
Mhm.
So because we live in Southern California and it's an 18-hour flight to Istanbul, we just round trip through Paris. And so we flew to Paris, spent the night, then we flew to Istanbul the next day. And when we came back, we did the same thing. We came back from Venice to Paris, and then we went by car up to the Normandy coast and
Mhm.
toured that on our own.
Oh, that's cool. We listened to a lot of the World War II history documentary stuff, so that would be amazing. So, since you have your fund, do you have any future trips planned yet?
Yeah,
Or
we
you?
do actually.
Ooh, where are you going?
We're going to Hawaii the end of March, and
Ooh,
we like Hawaii because it's easy to get to from California. Um, we're both 81, and that ought to give people a lot of hope that you can still travel at 81, and we do. But those long overseas flights are just kind of really taking their toll,
yeah.
and it's hard to recuperate. It's easy to get there, but coming home, whew, that's a murder.
Hmm.
So Hawaii's easy. Hawaii's 5 hours from LAX, and we say, oh, that's easy, much easier than 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we really, because we've been so locked on traveling in Europe, we haven't seen as much of the US as we wanted to.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're doing a Mississippi River cruise in um, late May, early June. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
gonna we're gonna go from New Orleans to Memphis. We have a granddaughter in Nashville, so we'll end in Memphis and then rent a car and drive over to Nashville and spend a few days. I've never been to Nashville, and now she's there, so it's like that's a good excuse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen those like because you can go all the way up and do all the old trade routes and stuff through the Mississippi and yeah, that's awesome. Well, that sounds like so much fun. So how we met, I do want to talk about how we met. We met in a group called CBP or Christian Business Partners, and they have a website. It's called it is cbpnetworking.com. So if anybody's interested in more information, they can do that. We meet online on Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or Pacific Daylight Time, whatever everybody's on. But yeah, I love that opportunity. Um, but do you have questions for me?
Yeah, and that is really a good opportunity. Lori and I just connected right away, even though we were just on this meeting for an hour, but
Hmm.
we just liked what each other had to say. And I love to travel, so she immediately caught my attention with that. And and also because we share a similar interest in traveling with kids who have special needs, that really piqued my interest. I think it's really cool what you do, Lori, with helping people who have either they're seniors and they needed help in getting around, and I'll probably be calling you not too long. Because we don't intend to stop traveling. We just may have to change what we do. And I know that you take care of all kinds of different needs, physical disabilities or special needs, all those kinds of things. So educate me just a little bit on how you work in that specially niche, because I think it's really cool.
Yeah, so a little bit on my backstory. My father had Parkinson's for over 15 years. And so I understood more of the physical disability than I necessarily understood all of the mental and invisible disabilities. And so just with that, my parents wanted to go on my dad didn't really want to travel. My mom's parents saw the whole world. They went all over the place. And so my mom always wanted to travel, but my dad really wasn't interested in much traveling. He was a farm boy, a rancher, and so they're just very much homebodies, right? You got animals, you feed the animals before you feed yourself. So, but he did want to go to Alaska, and so for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, we looked at getting them a the kids, us four kids, looked at paying for a cruise for our parents to go on. And so I had that kind of got me that a little bit of that bug of, okay, well, we need something that's accessible. We need something for him. And so I have that physical understanding of, okay, my dad can fall. My dad does not walk very well. He did not, I mean, he obviously, as it progresses and progresses and progresses, things things change. And so to literally have him, just not be able to stop, he would get too far forward. And so sometimes walking was just so much of a struggle. And so I have a couple of groups that I partner with for physical disabilities. It's the there's a Wheels Up network, and it kind of just helps with like wheelchair rentals and things like that, and accessibility or ways for people that need that assistance to have the support that they need. And then I also work with, it's called Special Needs at Sea, or Special Needs Group. And they have the they work a lot with cruises just because it's a closed loop. So they're in a lot of the ports for the cruises. So they do like hospital beds, oxygen, wheelchairs, whether you need like a full wheelchair or a full, like a little fully automatic wheelchair, because maybe they just can't physically like push wheels or things like that. They have scooters, motorized scooters. Um, Basically, it's just off of your height and weight. And then we figure out which is the best option for you. And so it really helps to um, be able to say, hey, this is what I have, because you can still travel. And then having 3 children with autism, I have had to figure out how I need to travel. And we have food allergies and sensitivities. And so I talk to all of my suppliers that I work with that how do you guys handle food allergies? How do you handle disabilities? Because once you leave the US, there's no ADA. And
Right.
so I really try and make sure that I know how my family travels. Like, how would I travel for my dad? He passed away 5 years ago. Okay, how would I travel for my mom? My mom doesn't walk very well either. Her body has not aged as gracefully as yours. But so it's how would my parents travel? Just kind of always having that. And so I do the digging, I do the research because I want to go somewhere with my family. And so I always say we can still travel. It's just going to look a little different. I might take a direct flight instead of having 3 layovers, or I will have as few layovers as possible. So it's just understanding what people have. And I like to say I always play that devil's advocate where it's like, hey, have you thought about this? Oh no, I haven't. Okay, have you thought about this? Or what is this option? And so to have the resources and the training that I've done specifically for the people that struggle with disabilities, because I've found that I didn't know a lot of things before I became a travel agent. So I want everybody to see the world and not let something that they have going on stop them from or prevent them from going somewhere just because they feel like they can't travel.
I wish I'd known you 4 years ago. I'm trying to think when that was. I fell a week before we were to leave for Europe and smashed my arm
Oh
so
no.
badly I had to have a plate and 7 screws put in. But that was the trip that got postponed from 2020 when nobody could go. And so we just went. Probably not our smartest move. But sometimes you do dumb things, right? It's okay.
It's like you have insurance there, you have insurance for, you have homeowners insurance and car insurance and all that stuff. Now you should now realize you need to have travel insurance. So that way, if something happens, it's, hey, we got
Oh,
to postpone it.
oh, we did. But, we were going back to Germany to visit with our dear old friends, and we didn't know if they were going to be around a lot longer.
Oh
It was like,
no.
okay, we've survived COVID. We got to do this. And we were going with somebody else, so we didn't want to disappoint them. But I needed more help than we figured I needed on that
Mm-hmm.
trip. So my whole point is, I think sometimes they're just temporary challenges. Like I'm fine now,
Mm-hmm.
and I could do anything I want to. But for about a month there, I was in not very good shape and not very able to travel. And some accommodations would have been really good for me at
Mm-hmm.
that point.
Yeah.
But the airlines they accommodate you to some extent. They'll plop you in a wheelchair and sort of take care of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
so yes, we love to travel, and we just do.
Yeah. Well, any other questions for me or
So how
anything
can you
else you
help a
want to?
family?
Oh, so a family, so usually parents are very busy depending on how active the kids are. Maybe they're working full time, both parents are working full time. The kids go to daycare, the kids are doing sports, things like that. So I can help those families that would like to still travel, but maybe don't have the time to do all the research. I also have the ability to give them options. I like to give all my clients at least three options and say, here's your options. What do you like? Pick and choose from all three and kind of do that. So I kind of do that legwork on the background. So that way, hey, here's your options. So I can take care of everything from, you know, getting you from your house on the trip, all of the everything until, you return back to your house. I can take care of all of that. Or if you're like, hey, we just want a rental car, we just need flights, we need packages or activities. And so I just become an extension of you or them. If they know somebody with disabilities, I can obviously accommodate that. But if it's just a regular family, um, it really does a lot of benefit to say, hey, look, you do what you're good at, I'll do what I'm good at. And then that way I take out all of that worry or stress.
So you're a full service travel agent. You
Hmm.
just have a niche in
In
helping people
disability.
who have disabilities.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
would a regular travel agent who doesn't ever really work with people who have disabilities be able to use you as a referral?
Yeah, so we can do two things with that. They can either give me their refer the client to me or that person to me, or I can be that support or resource for them if they're like, "Hey, I would really like this client," or this client reached out to me. I know that you're, somewhat more of an expert with this, and I can give them resources. I can walk them through some of the things to think about. Because the crazy thing is about 1 in 4 people in the US have some kind of a disability or mental illness. And so we all know somebody that has something going on, whether we realize it or not. And so, the disability could be anxiety and they just, need a calming or sensory, things like that. So I just want to be a resource for the people that need it, whether it is a fellow travel agent that wants to help a client or, the client that wants to be that person that's traveling.
Well, thank you for sharing a little bit
Absolutely.
about yourself and your business. It's been lovely to be with you today. I
Yes,
appreciate this
absolutely.
opportunity.
Yeah, it's great. And I love our PE background. One thing that we really didn't talk about here is both of us are PE teachers or PE and health and understand all of that because that's essentially what we both went to school for. So we're kindred spirits because we understand each other.
Yes, we are. And that makes it way more fun.
Yes, yes. It's like, oh, I can totally talk to you and you understand this.
Yeah, and for us, that's on several levels. So
I
that's really
know,
cool.
I know, I know. You did elementary, I did high school. I wanted to be able to tell the kids to go do something and expect them to do it. Whether they want to or not, that's something different. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
I
so
was way too entrepreneurial to be in a classroom. I think I survived 3 years. And then when we moved to California, I decided I like me as a boss. So that's when I opened up a swim school in Moreno Valley, California. And I liked being the one who was in charge and making my own hours. And the good thing, the best thing about teaching kids to swim is no discipline problems. You say, why is that? Because you say, if you don't stop doing that, I'm going to pick you up and sit you on the side of the pool. And guess what? It's cold when you have a wet bathing suit. So no, 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 Miss Jackie, don't take me out. I'll be good. So it's like, okay, this works.
oh,
Now
absolutely.
you
I do
can't
that
do
for
that in
my
a
kids.
classroom.
Yeah, I do that for my kids. Oh man, like if you're not gonna listen, I'm pulling you out. No, mom. So yeah,
It's
no,
cold.
I totally get that. So, oh, I love that. Yeah, no, I taught until I became a full-time mom. So, and learning that my kids had disabilities, I became full-time for them. So I'm their biggest cheerleader. And so I run that. And the one thing about travel is I can kind of work this around my kids' schedule. And that's been that flexibility that I needed as well. But well, it has been a wonderful joy to have you and to continue our amazing conversations. So, for anybody that would like to reach out to either Jackie or I, all of our contact information will be posted down below. Also, you can go to my website, which is lcleveradventures.com. And under show, you will see Jackie's picture and all of her contact information, her website, all of her links to everything. So go ahead and like and follow and share this with everyone. And we are so excited to be back with you next week. We have a mutual friend of ours. She is our current president at CBP, which is Miss Nikki Hall. So she gets to join me next week, and I'm so excited to talk to her about legal stuff. But yeah, it's been a wonderful joy to talk with you and have you on. And I will see you at the next meeting that we're both happen to be on.
Okay, I'll look forward to it. Thank you for inviting me today,
Yep,
Lori.
absolutely. So have a great day, and we will see everyone later.